I should ask, I'm not sure about this. Are you a data scientist?
Right, that's a good one. No, of course I'm not. But that's the thing. You see all these stats are thrown out there, and you try to understand what's being said. But it's also very scary because when you see these things that look very legitimate and then they're disproven, or people say like you're cherry picking like the dates and all these other things, it almost feels like you can come to any conclusion that you want to.
Yeah.
And that's why I think this is such a serious issue for the world of chess, because going forward, if we don't take it seriously now, I think at some point there is the potential for a much, much larger scandal.
Do you agree that, like what Magnus, I think, said that it is an existential threat to chess? Like this is a very serious problem that's only going to get bigger because you're basically, from a spectator perspective, from a competitor perspective, are not sure that you can trust any of the results.
Yeah, I think that's for sure true. When I think back to the last like 5 to 10 years, there are plenty of top level tournaments that I played in where there was no security at all.
Yeah.
You would just go into the auditorium and play your games, and that was that. So I do think it's a big issue. I think it has been a big issue, but the reason it's only coming to light now is because it features a very strong junior player who's very close to the world's elite. There have been many cheating scandals before. There was this French player, Sebastian Feller. There was this player, Igor Zrauzis from Latvia. There was this, I think it's from Belarus, or maybe I have that wrong. Maybe it was Bulgaria. Borislav Ivanov as well. Those are three big cheating scandals, but they were not at the absolute top levels of chess, which I think is why it never became the huge news story that this is, or it wasn't viewed in the same kind of way. Is why I think organizers were perhaps a little bit too lax in terms of security.
So you said 2,650. Is it possible that Hans is in fact a kind of Bobby Fischer level of genius, and he's capable at times of genius at the chessboard?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. That is absolutely possible. I think that's why I think for everybody in the situation, we want to see what happens in the next 6 to 12 months, because I think it will be very clear. Also, it's very interesting to me because there are other stats from that 72-page report that chess.com compiled, which in essence say certain other junior players basically have peaked, that they're not likely to improve further. So it's
Yeah.
also going to be very interesting when you look at those, like, I think it was like 50 pages of graphs, because there are graphs that say like some of the other junior players are done. So when we look forward, like in a year or two, if those players don't improve, it will also say something about their methods as well that they've used to sort of compile this data.
Yeah, I wonder what those junior players do if they look at that data. So there's a point where you should look at yourself like practically, like what is the actual empirical data over the past year of how much I've improved at a particular thing. Like it's one thing to kind of tell yourself that these are the ways I need to improve, and it's another to actually look at the data and face the reality of it.
Right. I think also that could have a psychological effect. That is the other thing
Yeah,
that
true.
makes the whole Han situation so tough, because if you think that he's cheated or you're unsure about what's going on, that is another psychological factor whenever you play against him.
In his favor or
Definitely in
against
his
him?
favor. Definitely in his favor.
That's great.
Because, for example, if I go online and play against a computer, let's just say I go play against Stockfish tomorrow, I'm going to play a very certain type of opening strategy, try to keep the board closed, and maybe hope to get lucky. Now, computers have gotten so good that generally even that doesn't, I don't even have a chance, even with such strategies. But you play differently than you normally would. And so if you're playing a game against him and there's a move that looks really weird, it doesn't seem logical at all, that can also start to affect you, where you immediately make a mistake, or you start questioning yourself, or you start thinking, well, what's going on here? Is there something unbecoming? Like you start worrying about what is happening. And so it definitely is, it's a very tough situation.